Respect. It's the invisible currency that determines how people treat you, how much influence you have, and the opportunities that come your way. Without it, you can be the smartest person in the room and still be ignored. But when people respect you, really respect you, everything changes. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to fight for attention. People naturally listen. They value your words. They follow your lead. So the question is, how do you create that kind of respect? Is it something you're born with? No. It's something you build, something you command. And today I'm going to share with you 5 powerful psychological secrets that will make people respect you instantly. These aren't gimmicks. These are principles backed by human behavior used by the most influential leaders, speakers, and high achievers in the world. If you're ready to stop being overlooked, to step into your power, and to earn the respect you deserve, then listen closely, because once you understand these 5 secrets, you'll never be seen the same way again. Let's dive in. 1, the power of certainty. Think about the most influential people in history, the leaders, the pioneers, the visionaries. What did they all have in common? It wasn't just intelligence. It wasn't just experience. It was certainty, an unshakable belief in themselves and their vision. Certainty is magnetic. When you walk into a room and carry yourself with absolute conviction, people take notice. It's not about arrogance. It's about knowing at the deepest level that you belong, that your ideas matter, that what you say carries weight. Most people hesitate. They second guess themselves. They dilute their words with doubt. Maybe this will work. I think I can do it. I hope you agree. But those who command respect, they don't hope. They declare. They don't think. They know. Their words carry the kind of certainty that makes people stop and listen. And here's the truth. Certainty is contagious. People are naturally drawn to those who seem to know what they're doing. It's a psychological shortcut. The brain looks for confidence as a sign of competence. If you believe in yourself, people assume you have a reason to. If you hesitate, they assume you don't. Now, certainty doesn't mean knowing all the answers. It doesn't mean being perfect. It means trusting yourself, even when you don't have all the information. It means making decisions with conviction instead of overanalyzing until the opportunity is gone. Have you ever noticed how some people can walk into any situation and instantly take control? They don't wait for permission. They don't ask, is it okay if I speak? They just start talking and suddenly the whole room is focused on them. That's certainty in action. They've trained themselves to speak with authority. They use strong language. They don't fidget, they don't mumble, and they don't backtrack. And this isn't just about how you talk, it's how you move, how you stand, how you make decisions. When you hesitate, when you shrink, when you let uncertainty creep into your body language, people sense it. They might not be able to put it into words, but they feel it. And the moment they do, respect starts to fade. But when you own your space, when you move with purpose, when you speak like you mean every word coming out of your mouth, people respect you without even knowing why. Because certainty, true certainty, triggers something deep in the human brain. It signals leadership, it signals trust, it signals power. And the best part, it's something you can develop. It's a muscle you can train. The more you act with certainty, the more natural it becomes. The more you trust yourself, the more others will trust you. And once you master this, you'll notice something incredible. People will start looking to you for guidance. They'll listen when you speak, they'll follow your lead, and they'll respect you not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. 2, mastering nonverbal dominance. Before you say a single word, people have already made a decision about you. They've sized you up, judged your confidence, and determined whether or not you're someone to be respected. This happens in seconds, and it's not because of what you say, it's because of what your body is saying. Psychology tells us that over 70% of communication is nonverbal. That means the way you stand, the way you move, the way you carry yourself speaks louder than any words that come out of your mouth. When you master nonverbal dominance, people sense your authority before you even open your lips. You don't have to convince them to respect you. Your presence does that for you. Start with posture. The way you hold yourself determines how people respond to you. When you stand tall with your shoulders back, chest open, and chin slightly raised, you signal confidence. But when you slouch, hunch forward, or make yourself small, you send the opposite message: uncertainty, weakness, a lack of presence. People might not consciously notice it, but their brains pick up on it instantly. Eye contact is another weapon of dominance. Most people are afraid to hold eye contact. They look down, they dart their eyes away, they break connection too soon. But those who command respect, they lock in. They hold that gaze with control. Never aggressively, never staring someone down, but with certainty. A strong, steady gaze shows that you're present, engaged, and in control. It tells people, I see you and I'm not intimidated. And that creates an automatic shift in how they perceive you. And then there's movement. The way you move communicates confidence or insecurity. Those who command respect don't fidget. They don't shuffle their feet. They don't play with their hands. They move deliberately, smoothly, with intention. Every step has purpose. Every gesture adds weight to what they're saying. When they walk into a room, they don't rush or hesitate. They own their space, taking their time, making it clear that they belong. Hand gestures are powerful tools when used correctly. The most respected speakers, leaders, and negotiators all use hand movements to emphasize key points. Open gestures like showing your palms create trust and connection. Strong, controlled gestures amplify your words and make you more persuasive. But nervous gestures, crossing your arms, rubbing your hands together, constantly touching your face, these kill respect instantly. They signal anxiety, discomfort, and a lack of certainty, and people pick up on that immediately. And then there's voice. People think respect comes from what they say, but in reality, it's how they say it. The tone, the pace, the rhythm of your voice dictates how people perceive you. Speaking too fast makes you sound anxious. Speaking too soft makes you seem uncertain. Speaking in a monotone puts people to sleep. But when you slow down, when you use pauses strategically, when you vary your tone and project your voice with strength and control, people listen. They don't just hear you, they feel you. Even silence is a tool of nonverbal dominance. Those who lack confidence rush to fill every gap in conversation. They're uncomfortable with silence, so they talk too much, too fast, without impact. But those who understand power, they use silence. They let a pause build tension. They allow space between their words so that every sentence lands with weight. And that alone makes them stand out, makes them magnetic, makes them someone others respect. Then there's proximity, the way you control space around you. People who are respected don't shrink themselves. They don't retreat when others step closer. They maintain a powerful presence in their space, commanding attention without even trying. But when someone is nervous, they instinctively pull back, withdraw, make themselves smaller, and once that happens, respect starts slipping away. Every movement, every gesture, every glance, every pause, these things determine whether people see you as a leader or someone to overlook. And it all happens subconsciously. You don't have to say a word to make people respect you. You just have to master the unspoken language that signals power, certainty, and control. 3, the art of high-value communication. Words have power. They shape perceptions, influence decisions, and determine how people respond to you. But here's the truth. Most people don't communicate with impact. They talk too much. They ramble, they fill the air with weak, meaningless words that dilute their authority. Those who command respect, they understand that communication is not about speaking more, it's about speaking with precision, power, and presence. High-value communication isn't about being the loudest person in the room, it's about making every word count. The people who get respected the most don't waste time with filler phrases like, kinda, I think, maybe. They eliminate weak language. They speak in a way that makes people listen. Their words have clarity, weight, and certainty. When they talk, you don't just hear them, you feel them. One of the key psychological triggers of respect is brevity. The more concise your message, the more authority you have. If you ramble, people tune you out. If you get to the point with impact, people take you seriously. Look at the most powerful communicators in history. They don't drown you in endless explanations. They say what needs to be said and then stop. Silence does the rest. Another critical aspect of high-value communication is tonality. The tone of your voice dictates how people perceive you. Speak in a high-pitched, rushed tone and you sound anxious. Speak in a slow, controlled, resonant tone and you command attention. When you vary your tone, when you emphasize key words, when you lower your voice to draw people in, when you pause for effect, you create a rhythm that makes people hang on to your every word. Pacing is everything. The average person speaks too fast because they're uncomfortable with silence. They don't let their words breathe. They don't allow their ideas to land with impact. But those who understand power use controlled pacing. They slow down when making important points. They pause to create anticipation. They let their words sink in before moving forward. That pause alone, just a fraction of a second, creates the kind of tension that makes people stop and listen. Then there's word choice. The language you use dictates whether you're seen as someone to be respected or ignored. High-value communicators don't use passive phrases like, I was just wondering if maybe, or I hope that's okay. They use direct, authoritative language. Here's what needs to happen. This is the right move. I recommend this. The way you frame your words determines whether people see you as a leader or a follower. And let's talk about the power of storytelling. The most influential communicators don't just throw out facts or instructions. They tell stories that engage the brain. Stories activate emotion. They make people feel connected. They create a sense of urgency and relatability. If you want to be remembered, if you want people to respect your message, wrap it in a story. Instead of saying, confidence is important, tell a story about how confidence changed someone's life. Instead of saying, take action now, tell a story about someone who hesitated and lost an opportunity forever. Then there's the power of certainty in communication. When you speak with confidence, people assume you know what you're talking about. If you sound unsure, they question you. It's that simple. Have you ever noticed how someone can say something completely incorrect, but if they say it with enough certainty, people believe them? That's because the human brain associates certainty with truth. If you want people to respect you, don't hedge your statements with weak phrases like I think or I guess. Own your words. Stand by them. And then There's listening. People think communication is all about talking, but the most respected individuals are also the best listeners. They don't interrupt. They don't just wait for their turn to speak. They truly absorb what others are saying. And when they do respond, they do it with precision. They reference what was said. They make the other person feel heard, which makes their words carry even more weight when they speak. Energy is everything in communication. Have you ever listened to someone who speaks in a monotone voice with zero energy? It's painful. It doesn't matter how great their words are, no one listens. But someone who speaks with passion, with certainty, with fire, people stop what they're doing. They lean in. They respect the person speaking, not because of what they're saying, but because of how they're saying it. High value communication isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's about commanding attention, eliminating weak language, using tone and pacing strategically, and making sure every word you speak carries weight. It's about presence. It's about making people feel something when you speak, because when people feel, they remember, and when they remember, they respect. 4, the law of reciprocity. Respect is never a one-way street. It's a cycle, a psychological exchange, a force that moves back and forth between people. If you want to be respected, you must first create the conditions that make respect inevitable. And one of the most powerful psychological principles behind this is the law of reciprocity. The idea that when you give something of value, people feel an instinctive, almost subconscious urge to return the favor. This isn't just a theory, it's hardwired into human behavior. Studies have shown that when someone receives a gift, a compliment, or a favor, their brain triggers a deep-seated need to balance the scales. This is why the most respected individuals are often the most generous. Not just with money, but with their time, their knowledge, their energy, and their willingness to help. They don't demand respect. They create an environment where people naturally want to respect them. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is focused on themselves. They're guarded, skeptical, unwilling to engage. Now imagine someone stepping into that same room and immediately adding value, offering insight, making others feel heard, showing genuine appreciation. What happens? The energy shifts, people open up, and most importantly, they begin to respect that person, not because they were forced to, but because they feel an internal pull to do so. This is how reciprocity works. It's not about manipulation, it's about understanding human nature. People respect those who give first without expecting anything in return. The key is authenticity. If you give with an agenda, if people sense that you're only helping to get something back, the effect is lost. True reciprocity isn't transactional, it's about creating real connections, real trust, and real influence. Now let's break this down into real world application. One of the easiest ways to trigger reciprocity is through appreciation. Most people go through life feeling unnoticed, undervalued, and unappreciated. But when someone takes the time to genuinely acknowledge them, to recognize their efforts, to make them feel important, something powerful happens. That person automatically becomes more respected in their eyes. A simple, sincere, I see the effort you put in and I respect that, can change the entire dynamic of a relationship. Then there's the power of knowledge sharing. Think about the people you respect the most. Chances are, they've taught you something. They've shared insights, wisdom, or experience that made your life better. Knowledge is one of the most valuable things you can give, and when you freely offer it, when you help others grow, solve problems, and overcome obstacles, you become someone they respect on a deep level. Another way reciprocity builds respect is through acts of service. This doesn't mean being a pushover or doing things for others at the expense of your own needs. It means being the person who steps up when it matters, the one who helps without hesitation, the one who offers support without being asked. When you consistently show up for people in meaningful ways, they don't forget it. Respect isn't just about what you say, it's about what you do. And actions always speak louder than words. And then there's emotional reciprocity, the ability to make others feel valued, heard, and understood. Have you ever had a conversation where someone truly listened to you, not just waiting for their turn to speak, but genuinely absorbing what you were saying? It feels rare because most people are too caught up in their own thoughts to give that kind of attention. But when someone does, it creates an instant shift in how you see them. You respect them more. You feel drawn to them. Why? Because they gave you something incredibly valuable: presence. Reciprocity can also be seen in the way leaders interact with their teams. The best leaders don't demand respect. They earn it by investing in their people. They give trust before expecting it in return. They empower others, lift them up, and create an environment where people feel supported. And because of that, their people give back through loyalty, effort, and unwavering respect. The same applies in everyday interactions. When you give someone the benefit of the doubt, they're more likely to do the same for you. When you show kindness, it creates a ripple effect that often comes back tenfold. When you respect others genuinely, without conditions, you make it nearly impossible for them not to respect you in return. And here's something most people miss. Reciprocity doesn't always happen immediately. Some people expect instant results. I did something nice, where's my respect? But that's not how it works. Reciprocity builds over time like compound interest. The more you invest in others, the more it eventually comes back to you, often in ways you didn't even anticipate. The key is to keep giving, keep adding value, and keep being the kind of person that people can't help but respect. Respect isn't a demand, it's an exchange. It's a natural response to generosity, to leadership, to genuine contribution. And when you understand how the law of reciprocity shapes human behavior, you stop chasing respect and start attracting it effortlessly. 5 simple, embracing controlled silence. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill every pause, every gap, every empty space in a conversation, believing that the more they talk, the more control they have. But the truth, silence is one of the most powerful tools of influence, respect, and authority. Think about the people who command the most respect when they speak. Do they rush? Do they ramble? Do they fidget with words just to keep the conversation going? No, they do the opposite. They master the art of controlled silence, the ability to use strategic pauses, moments of stillness and quiet confidence to create an atmosphere of authority. Psychology tells us that people are uncomfortable with silence, especially in social interactions. When there's a pause, the natural instinct is to fill it. But those who truly understand power don't give in to that instinct. They own the silence. They let it build tension. They allow their words to sink in. And that alone shifts the dynamic in their favor. Look at high-stakes negotiations, boardroom discussions, or even personal conversations where power is at play. The person who speaks the least but with the most control is usually the one who dominates the interaction. Why? Because silence creates pressure. It forces the other person to react, to second guess, to reveal more than they intended. Controlled silence makes people lean in, pay attention, and respect your presence. Pauses create authority. When you speak without pauses, when your words spill out without rhythm or control, they lose impact. But when you slow down, when you pause strategically before delivering a key point, you create weight. That pause signals confidence. It tells people what I'm about to say matters. And because of that, they listen. The greatest speakers, the most influential leaders, the most respected individuals all understand this. They use silence like a weapon, not to disengage, but to amplify their presence. When they enter a room, they don't feel the need to immediately speak to prove themselves. They take their time, they observe, they make others wait for their words. And because of that, when they do speak, people listen. Then there's the power of silence in conflict. Most people argue from a place of emotion. They react instantly, throwing words into the air without thinking. But those who control silence never react emotionally. They don't rush to defend themselves. They don't engage in back and forth battles just to prove a point. Instead, they pause, they let the other person speak, they let them reveal everything, and in that stillness, they maintain control. Silence also signals confidence in decision-making. Weak communicators feel the need to explain every thought, justify every choice, and over-explain their reasoning. But those who are respected, they don't over-explain. They state their decision, then let the silence do the rest. They don't seek validation. They don't ask, does that make sense? They say what needs to be said, and then they let it stand on its own. And then there's silence in persuasion. Most people try to convince others by talking more, by throwing out more facts, more reasoning, more arguments. But true persuasion isn't about overwhelming people with words. It's about giving space for your ideas to settle in their minds, space for them to process what you said, space for them to make the decision on their own. When you speak, make your point, then stop. Let the silence work for you. Let it build anticipation. Let it draw people in. Even in personal relationships, silence is a tool of respect. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone truly listens? They don't interrupt. They don't immediately jump in with their own story. They just hold space, allowing you to express yourself without rushing to fill the air. That kind of silence creates trust. It makes people feel valued. It makes them respect you, not just for your words, but for your presence. And then there's the ultimate test, being comfortable in silence when alone. Most people can't handle being alone with their thoughts. They distract themselves with noise, with conversations, with anything that keeps them from sitting in silence. But those who are truly powerful, those who command the highest levels of respect, are those who can sit in stillness and own it. They don't need external validation. They don't need to prove themselves with constant words. They are secure in their presence, whether in a room full of people or in complete solitude. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not passivity. Silence is strength. It is confidence. It is control. And when used correctly, it makes people respect you without you having to say a word. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's not something you demand. It's something you command through your actions, your presence, and your mastery of human psychology. When you walk with certainty, when every word and action exudes confidence, people take you seriously. When you master nonverbal dominance, you project authority before you even speak. When you communicate with high value, eliminating weak language and speaking with precision, your words carry weight. When you understand the law of reciprocity, you create relationships where respect is given freely, not forced. And when you embrace controlled silence, you shift the dynamics of power, making people lean in, listen, and take you seriously without you even trying. Most people chase respect the wrong way. They seek approval, they over-explain, they try too hard. But those who truly own their presence, who embody these 5 psychological principles, don't chase respect, they attract it. It becomes effortless. It becomes inevitable. Because respect isn't about what you say, it's about who you are.